Ladies, gents, how's it going? Random Gary here, aka Gary Prout. Back again with another Gallantry review. If you don't know why I do these, I'm a Gallantry recipient from the British Army. Spent 12 years in fire support teams, so calling in all of the artillery, the mortar strikes. My team called in things like airstrikes, attack helicopters. Today I'm going to be reacting to Herschel Woody Williams. This was recommended by ding 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 Matt Pinardi. So thank you, Matt. Let's give Herschel a little bit of a check out. Let's see what he did. I love these old stories from the old boys. This is going to be a good one.
He asked me at that point in time if I could do anything with flamethrowers against the pillboxes. I said, I will try. Much of what went on that day, I have absolutely no memory.
That's a fascinating point. This dissociative amnesia, I think it is, quite often with traumatic events, people can't remember them. And I think this is one of the beauties of a series of books. If you haven't read them, it's called Forgotten Voices. It takes people from the same instance in war and compares and contrasts their memories of it. It writes everyone as if it is like what they're saying is proven truth. And the great thing there is that you get the reality of everybody's day. Yeah, you will not get one continuous line of everybody from each incident. Everybody will have very different memories, and I think it's better to acknowledge it than it is to turn around and call people liars and stuff. I've actually seen that with the Dakota Manning stuff as I've been delving deeper into his story. There's a lot of people calling a lot of names. It's unbelievable how the brain works. The brain cannot always make sense of everything. So rather than calling people out, it's more about understanding what is their truth from that day. Dissociative amnesia. I think that's right. I think so.
From the moment war came to the doorstep of the United States, Herschel Woodrow Williams was determined to serve his country. Specifically, he had his sights set on becoming a Marine.
That's what I wanted to be, and I have said jokingly many times, the Marine Corps uniform was so much more attractive, and they could get girls easier than those guys in those ugly Army uniforms, and I didn't want to wear that. Every Marine is trained to be a rifleman. And then others are trained with some other job. And we had cross-trained, to where we were flamethrower operators as well as demolition people. So we could do either job. We could blow it up or burn it up, whichever they needed.
Herschel joined up with the 3rd Marine Division and headed to the South Pacific. There, the Allies were locked in a violent campaign to reclaim the lands the Japanese had taken in the wake of the Pearl Harbor attack. Through this campaign, Herschel would set foot on islands he had never even heard of before.
When I got overseas, I ended up on the island of Guadalcanal, which was the first island that the Marines had taken in the Pacific. Naturally, it was secure when we got there in late 1943. But in July of that year, we went to Guam and took Guam back from the Japanese. We stayed on Guam until early February of 1945. We were told we were shipping out. Nobody had any idea where we were going.
Herschel and the 3rd Marine Division were off to invade a small volcanic island from which the Allies would be close enough to stage attacks against the Japanese mainland. The island's name? Iwo Jima.
None of us, of course, had ever heard tell of it. They did tell us that it was small, and there's 20,000 of us on this ship. 2 other Marine divisions were already scheduled to land.
Small island. There's 20,000 of you going in to do it. Straight away you're thinking, there's so many of us going to take it. That means they're planning on quite a lot of us being killed. Let's not beat about the bush. Just the makeup of the island, long, massive plateau, huge volcanic hill with very steep sides. If you hold that hill, it's gonna be ridiculous for any invading force to take over that plateau and then fight up the hill. Naval gunfire support, it's great to some degree, but the whole thing is you have the pitch and yaw off the ship. Now, any little deviation in point of elevation on those guns is going to send rounds quite a distance further. If it's firing over the top of you, it's going to send them quite a bit short and possibly onto you. The best place to be is at like a right angle, so it's engaging from your flank, from your left or from your right, but then what you're going to get is a massive left to right spread that's hugely difficult to adjust. So it's an absolute area weapon. It's not precision. You can't aim it at a specific bunker and always hit it. Naval gunfire, huge effect, but also a massive area that it actually hits. It's not a precision weapon.
First, reasonably, we thought, why would they need so many Marines? And we were told by the briefers that were briefing us that it probably would last 2 to 3 days. And then we'd be done. We'd go back to our tents that we left on Guam. But that didn't work out that way.
No, never going to.
The first night, after having lost so many the first day on Iwo Jima, we got word over the speaker that we were going in the next day.
The Japanese defense on the island was unexpectedly fierce, and the American casualties had far surpassed predictions. When Herschel and the 3rd Division hit the shore, they were met with an impassable wall of resistance.
We had encountered a large number of reinforced concrete pillboxes, and we couldn't bust through them. Every time we would try to advance, there were so many of them. They had all the field of fire because they're in a protected area. We're in an open area. And we were losing Marines very rapidly, but we needed to go forward in order to capture the island.
Now, I'm unsure if this was the case in the Far East whenever they were invading, but actually most of the really effective machine gun posts, they weren't aiming directly at troops as they were advancing forward. They were doing a bit of a raking fire across the angle. So if you imagine you're looking at a beach and you're engaging straight down in on top of it, you've got a very focused area. If you're off on a flank and you're engaging over the top of the beach, you've got a huge amount of people who are going to actually advance through that fire. So as people move forward, they're going to get cut up. And quite often that was how the enemy set up. They weren't engaging specific people, they were engaging across the line of advance. And our soldiers were walking into pretty much curtains of lead and being cut up as they went forward. Horrific. Absolutely horrific.
My commanding officer asked for a meeting. We gathered in a whole huge shell crater. He asked me at that point in time if I could do anything with flamethrowers against the pillboxes. I said, I will try.
Now, it's very easy to think about using a flamethrower against someone and it being horrific. It absolutely is. But the people conducting this assault, there was no other real option. There was no other way that you could get up and close to that pillbox and effectively neutralize it. It was as horrible a weapon as it is. It was the right weapon for the right effect. That makes sense. I'm not defending it. I'm not saying that it was absolutely brilliant. It's just this is the reality of war. People try to kill people. And if you can kill the other person, then happy days for your guys. Terrific. But you know what? Let's not hide from it. It's fucking war, isn't it?
He gave me 4 Marines. The Marines were to shoot at the pillbox. Then I'm going to try to get flame inside so that we can eliminate the enemy within.
And this is horrific because they're laying down a point of fire, as we would call it, for the assaulting troop to go up and to get through. So Herschel, at the point where his Marines are engaging and suppressing that bunker, he then has to stand up, advance over very vulnerable ground very rapidly, and get close enough where the flamethrower is going to be an effective weapon. You have to get close to be able to use these here. This guy's going to be exposed and moving forward with no support going forward with him. Scary time.
Much of what went on that day, I have absolutely no memory.
Under constant enemy fire, Herschel advanced up the beach, successfully taking out one pillbox after another.
And that's
when
a
a
bomb.
flamethrower would run out, he returned to the rear of the American lines, grabbed another, and advanced again to the next pillbox.
That's a bomb on his back. Any part of that gets engaged, especially with the amount of tracer. And I understand there was some incendiary rounds being used at the time. He is going to cook up. He will absolutely cook up.
Herschel repeated this cycle for hours, miraculously, never receiving a single wound. But the Marines providing his cover fire would not be so fortunate.
2 of them lost their lives that day doing that. But I was able to advance with the help of other Marines. I was able to eliminate the enemy within 7 of those pillboxes. That gave us a way of getting through. And once we passed through that protective pillbox area, then we had the advantage.
After 5 weeks of ferocious combat and over 40,000 American and Japanese casualties, the Allies had finally taken Iwo Jima. The cost of victory was far greater than had been speculated, but recognizing that losses would certainly have been higher had it not been for acts of bravery like that of Herschel and the 4 Marines who protected him, Herschel's commanding officer recommended him for the Medal of Honor. When the war ended, Herschel was called back to Washington, D.C., where he and several other Medal of Honor recipients were congratulated by President Harry Truman. But Herschel, viewing his actions on Iwo Jima as simply part of his duties, was unaware why he had been invited to such an event.
There were 13 of us that day on the White House lawn. Until they read my citation, I had no idea why I was receiving it. 13 of us received the medal. I'm the last of the 13. They have all gone on.
Bless him, man. Wow.
It changed my life completely, of course.
Throughout the decades since receiving the medal, Herschel has remained a shining example.
What's the significance of the red blazer? I've never seen any of the old boys wearing that. Let us know, guys. I'm wondering, is it one of his battalion kind of colors, or is it Marines overall? What does it mean? Why is it there? I'll pin it if you write the comment. Cheers.
Of honor and humility, but he has never forgotten the 2 Marines, to whom he believes the medal truly belongs.
I wear it in their honor. I'm just the caretaker of the medal, because particularly those 2 Marines who sacrificed their life protecting me, they earned the medal more than I did. I'll just wear it in their honor and say I am the caretaker.
To this day, Herschel Williams continues to serve his country. Since 2010, the Herschel Woody Williams Medal of Honor Foundation has been establishing permanent Gold Star family memorials all across the United States. The memorials are dedicated to those who have lost loved ones in military conflict.
They lost part of themselves when they lost their loved one. And for relatives of those who sacrificed their lives, those relatives, they never have an opportunity to grow up together, and that vacancy is always there. We're here in this little community to dedicate a Gold Star Family Memorial Monument. Its purpose is to honor those Gold Star families who lost that loved one for our freedom.
What a boy.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh from Memoirs of World War II, and I just want to say thank you for watching this episode and also give you an opportunity to join up with what we're doing. We're dedicated to reaching as many veterans of the Second World War as we can, both here in the US and across the world, but we're running out of time. The youngest World War II veterans are in their 90s, and every day we're losing more and more of them. So here are 3 simple ways that you can join with us. First, consider supporting us through Patreon. Patreon is a subscription-based service that keeps projects like this one going. Second, you can share these videos with your family and friends. It's a great way to honor these veterans and get these stories out there. And finally, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks again for your support, and thank you for watching.
Link will be in the description to sign up with these guys. What an incredible little video. Fair play to them. Powerful point where he didn't actually know what he was getting the Medal of Honor for. He did not know why he was stood in that White House. I had a week of experience in that, and just sitting down and trying to think about what did I do, what could it have been, and then whenever you finally hear it, it's really strange because your perception of the events might be very different to others, and your memory, like Herschel referred to earlier on, your memory might be slightly different from the memory of other people's. Therefore, the citations, whilst they're not going to be miles out, they just feel like maybe slightly different events to the one that you were involved in. Brilliant. Superb. Thanks for recommending that video. We are around about 940 subscribers currently, maybe a little bit more, so we might make 1,000 subscribers in the next week. If you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, please bang that subscription. Also subscribe to Memoirs of World War II. What a cracking bunch. If you've got a spare few bucks, get on the Patreon, give them a bit of support. Guys, thanks very much once again. Click that like button, and I'll see you again very soon. Have a good one. See you later.